The scorched Arabian landscape. A virtually waterless desert where rain scarcely falls and animals endure blistering temperatures. But for 3 months every year, a remote region in the southwest undergoes an astonishing transformation into a lush, verdant oasis. Animals feed and breed as they make the most of this brief seasonal abundance. Many are found nowhere else on the Arabian Peninsula. Life seizes its chance to flourish during the surprising Arabian monsoon. It's June in the Sultanate of Oman. The summer heat is building across the Arabian Peninsula. Temperatures here can exceed 123 degrees Fahrenheit. Survival is a battle. But in one remote area, it's possible to find respite from the inhospitable climate. On the southern coast of Oman, close to the Yemen border, the Dhofar mountain range divides the vast inland desert from the coast. These limestone mountains are known locally as Jebel. The thin strip of coastal plain between the Jebel and the sea has its own tropical microclimate. Temperatures here remain a relatively balmy 90 degrees year-round. In the middle of June, the land here is still dry, dusty, and barren. But some residents don't seem to mind. Male repels weaver birds are hard at work building their characteristic hanging nests. Weavers are one of the world's most dexterous nest builders, constructing elaborate homes made of grass, twigs, and reeds. African in origin, repels are the only weavers found in Arabia. Males develop a bright yellow breeding plumage to help them attract the less colorful females. The female picks her partner. She judges a male by the quality of his build. So if a male is to succeed, he needs to build a better home than his neighbor. Stage 1. Establish a firm, knotted foundation at the end of a branch. Weavers are the only birds in the world known to tie knots. Stage 2. Tie on long streamers of grass or reed, ready to create the basic shape. Next, tie the streamers together to create a simple hoop. This male is making solid progress. His structural hoop is complete. Now he builds up the walls, weaving the grasses in and around the main frame. The female casts a critical eye. The nest needs to protect future chicks from the rain that is coming. Small leaves are handy for filling gaps. His nifty beakwork catches the eye of the female. Or maybe she was checking out his neighbor. This male is already further up the property ladder. His dexterity demonstrates experience. Weavers actively learn how to improve their technique with each new nest they build. The neighbor has a nicer place now. But there's time. She's not moving in anywhere until she sees the finished pad. The weaver's fervent activity signals a change in the air. By late June, winds from the Indian monsoon blow up the east coast of Africa. They create turbulence in the Arabian Sea, driving nutrients up from deep water to the surface. This vital cold water upwelling breathes new life into the coastal waters. Above the waves, it cools the warm monsoon winds, causing clouds to amass over Dhofar's dramatic coast. A thick cloak of mist rolls inland, stretching 155 miles long and 15 miles wide. It hangs heavy over the escarpment and shrouds the coastal plain. This monsoon is surprisingly different. There are no thunderstorms or sudden downpours, just a heavy mist that only later will turn to rain. The mountains act as a barrier, trapping the new moisture. The landscape soaks it up like a sponge. Within days, the mist transforms the region. But this is just the beginning. Desert dwellers gather in their thousands. Many trekking from the arid land beyond the mountains. Herds of dromedary camels converge on the landscape as they begin to feast on the bounty of new green riches. Thanks to this seasonal change luring them in, the Dhofar region is the camel-producing capital of Oman. Camels are well adapted to cope with dry conditions and little food. Their large single hump is a fat reserve that keeps them nourished and hydrated through lean times. The monsoon feast enables them to fatten up and replenish this vital energy reserve. Camels are most commonly browsers. Woody shrubs and other raised vegetation make up 70% of their diet. But the carpets of new ground cover and wildflowers allow them to graze. Their thick lips protect them from thorny desert plants and help them pluck the softer vines growing on the ground. With so much food, they can afford to be choosy. Although they appear to roam freely, these camels are not wild. Arabian camels have been domesticated by humans for around 3,000 years. And these belong to Dhofari herdsmen. Some of these traditional tribal herdsmen move their animals seasonally between the desert and this new green pasture on the plain. The camels will feed here for the whole summer, roaming with their human tenders across the vast landscape. Although monsoons are more commonly associated with Asia, the word monsoon originates from the Arabic word for season. Here in Dhofar, this Arabian monsoon is colloquially known as Kharif. As June turns into July, the shrouding mist develops into rain. Light but persistent drizzle that lasts all day. Now that plant life is everywhere, invertebrates come out of hiding. These land snails avoid the harsh sunlight the rest of the year. Now they emerge from cover and scale the trees in great clusters to lap up the moisture. Caterpillars too are on the move. Some of these larval feeding machines can consume up to 27,000 times their body weight in just a few weeks. Others are out for a meal too. Birds get the benefit of the invertebrates' fattening. This shining sunbird prefers a sweeter treat. These energetic little birds are the largest of Oman's 4 species of sunbird. They're drawn to the nectar of a flowering hibiscus. Although they resemble hummingbirds, they lack the flight skills of their unrelated lookalikes. The long, pointed, curved beak reaches deep between the hibiscus petals, where its tongue, about 2/3 its total body length, can siphon up the nectar. There will be more blooms to come as the monsoon progresses. Back at the weaver colony, some of the nest-building males are nearing completion. The female will soon be able to inspect the nests and choose her mate. The master builder, who had an early lead on his rivals, is almost ready. His new spherical nest just needs a few finishing touches. The entrance faces down, allowing easy access for the weavers, but making it difficult for predators to reach. The male is now ready to advertise his new property. Hanging upside down on his doorstep, he flutters his wings to attract the female's attention. When it appears he has it, he makes way for her to inspect his nest and continues his campaign from a close vantage point. But she doesn't accept his invitation. She has options after all. Next door, his neighbor presents a greener alternative. Now the female has two offers. The master builder isn't about to give up. He draws her attention back to his nest. This time, the female takes notice. Finally, his upside-down tenacity pays off. He immediately increases his wing beats to maximize his chances to seal the deal. It appears to do the trick. A distinctive call signals trouble for the new couple. An African Diedrich cuckoo, here to breed during the monsoon, is a menace to weavers. Females will kick out the weaver's eggs and replace them with one of their own. The weavers must stay vigilant to these African seasonal intruders. Dhofar is home to many other African species. Some, like the cuckoo, migrate in to breed. But others have taken up residency. At a permanent spring, now full with crystal clear water, an African paradise flycatcher hunts for insects on the wing. Nearby, a grey-headed kingfisher keeps a silent vigil from its lookout post. Unlike most kingfishers, he's not eyeing up the fish beneath him. This kingfisher prefers to eat ground insects. But with none yet in sight, he may have to wait a little longer. It's not just the birds with African roots. On the steep slopes of the escarpment lives a small and rather elusive mammal. The rock hyrax, or dassi, as it's often better known in Africa. In the morning, the hyraxes emerge cautiously from their boulder homes. These shy little mammals are on alert for danger, which often comes from above. Aerial predators, particularly eagles, are a constant threat. Coast clear, one by one they emerge. The hyrax may look like a rodent, but its closest relative is in fact the largest of all living land mammals, the elephant. The rather unlikely relatives diverged from a common ancestor which died out around 50 million years ago. Colony life is all about safety in numbers. This colony has around 20 members. A sentry keeps watch for predators, whilst the rest of the colony relaxes in the sun during a rare break in the mist. If the sentry spots danger, it will raise the alarm with a sharp, shrill call. For now, all is well. But for small, meaty mammals, danger is rarely far away. By August, the effects of the Harif are in full flow. A waterfall in Arabia is an extremely rare sight. 6 weeks ago, these cliffs were completely dry. Dhofar gets more rainfall than the rest of Arabia combined. Despite this, it's home to just one amphibian, the Dhofar toad. The rain triggers the toad's breeding season. Around the wet wadis, males are getting to grips with larger females. They'll need to hold on tight if they want to become fathers. As the rain persists throughout August, the Arabian camels munch their way through the new monsoon menu. Camels here fill the same niche as giraffes in Africa, browsing on leaves out of others' reach. They have the same number of vertebrae in their necks as the world's tallest land mammal. They also share a taste for acacia, although today an evergreen guari tree is proving to be an appetizing alternative. This messy eater moves its bottom jaw sideways to crush the woody branch, but doesn't need to chew it all that well, first time round. Camels are ruminants, meaning they chew their food more than once. Each mouthful swallowed ferments in one of 3 stomach chambers before the camel regurgitates it as cud to chew again later. For now, though, there's plenty more where that last mouthful came from. The monsoon brings other unusual offerings for the camels. The inflow of fresh water invigorates coastal lagoons, making them highly productive feeding and fish breeding grounds. They mostly attract birds, like this egret. But camels aren't averse to wading in. A small herd dines out on an aquatic banquet. Camels are able to drink 53 gallons of water in just 3 minutes. But most of their fluids come from the food they eat. In a land where bodies of fresh water rarely exist, a lagoon like this can feed, cool, and rehydrate a herd. By late August, the weaver colony is a bustling hive of activity. Females are busy feathering nests that have met with their approval and refusing those they don't like. The novice builder from earlier is undoing all his hard work. Rejection is never easy. Males can make several attempts at a nest before a female will accept it. The master builder and his partner have been busy too. Over 2 weeks ago, the female laid her eggs. Now, new life emerges. 3 hungry beaks. Multiple beaks are good news. They mean there's no parasitical cuckoo chick to raise. But female weavers usually lay 2 eggs per nest. 3 just means more work for mum. Caterpillars are packed with nutrition, but you can only bring one at a time. And like all dutiful mothers, she's often faced with the less glamorous side of child rearing. The fed chick poops into its own disposable diaper, which the female removes to keep the nest clean. The young weavers will remain in the nest for 18 days. A ready supply of moths and bugs keeps them well fed and growing fast. While she's busy feeding the chicks, their prolific father has built a new nest and found another partner. Many weavers are polygamous. Male reptiles can partner up to 3 females at a time. Juggling the demands of dating, mating, and nest building is exhausting. There will be no let-up until Harif is over. Further up the escarpment, visibility is poor over the hyrax colony. The sentry will find it harder to spot approaching predators while the mist remains. The adults are cautious, but venture out to forage. Hyraxes are predominantly grazers, eating grasses and other low-growing vegetation. But the monsoon also brings browsing opportunities. Commiphora, more commonly known as Abyssinian myrrh, grows endemically in this region. The small leaves are sparse among the spiny branches of the shrub, but provide valuable nutrition to the hyrax. Reaching the leaves, however, requires skill and a bit of daring. This one takes its time to balance. But another has clearly done this before. Rock hyraxes are well adapted for climbing. Their clawless feet have a rubbery texture, enabling them to clamber easily among their rocky habitat. The thin branches of the shrub are a bigger challenge. Hyraxes feed rapidly. Speed eating enables them to forage for only an hour a day. Less time in the open means less likelihood of getting nabbed by a predator. Like the camels, hyraxes have a 3-chambered stomach to help them digest their food. They're not ruminants. They don't need to chew their food twice, but bacteria in their gut help them to digest it as efficiently. An alarm call shatters the peace. The distinctive shape and pattern of an eagle soars over the escarpment. Varroa eagles breed here in the Dhofar Mountains. They are the biggest threat to the hyraxes. This one is not alone. Pairs hunt cooperatively. One attracts the attention of the hyrax, whilst the other swoops down unnoticed to grab its victim. The hyraxes hide amongst the boulders. But it looks as though someone wasn't fast enough today. Come September, the monsoon mist begins to clear, resulting in occasional bright days. Reptiles tend to keep a low profile during the wet weather, preferring dry conditions. But now the days are brightening, a flamboyant lizard begins to reveal itself. An Arabian chameleon. Oman is home to 103 species of reptile, but this is the only chameleon on the Arabian Peninsula. It lives only here in the monsoon belt. It spends more time on the ground than other arboreal chameleons. Out in the open it's exposed, but does its best to blend into its surroundings. Chameleons are best known for their ability to change color. This can provide useful camouflage. It can also help them regulate their temperature and communicate their mood. As it moves into cover, it becomes almost invisible. Each eye rotates independently, enabling it to look forwards and backwards at the same time to check for danger. Reaching the safety of a tree, it changes color again. Mimicking a branch will keep this quirky reptile out of sight should the eagles come circling again. Higher up in a nearby fig tree, a feast is underway. A Bruce's green pigeon makes the most of the ripening fruit. Carotenoids in the figs give this pigeon its bright yellow and green colors. The bird's plumage is at its most striking at this time of year, when the fruit is ripe. By late September, the Kharif fades into memory. The rushing water of the falls no longer echoes through the valley. The days become brighter and drier. The change of weather suits the sun-loving hyrax colony. Up on the escarpment, the eagles have flown off. but a stark reminder of a predator remains. As the sentry takes up its lookout position, the mammals take advantage of the returning sun. Rock hyraxes have poor thermoregulation. Like reptiles, basking in the sun enables them to warm up without using their own energy. Kharif's rains may be gone, but they have left a parting gift. Pups. Female hyraxes time the birth of their young to coincide with the monsoon. The babies have remained hidden in their bolder homes and emerge when food is more plentiful. The youngsters form a creche, close to the safety of a boulder bolt hole. Huddling together is another good way to warm up. Others are starting to find their feet, practicing their rock climbing skills. These two seem more adventurous than their nursery peers. The pair heads up to the myrrh bush, where the adults are feeding. But they won't be getting any climbing lessons from this one. Surely a lighter youngster stands a better chance. Young hyraxes develop remarkably quickly. They can run and jump within a few hours of being born. Learning how to balance can be more challenging. There will inevitably be more hard lessons to learn. Practice will eventually grant all the young hyraxes the skills they need for life in the colony. As October arrives, many of the nests in the weaver colony are looking a little disheveled. The master builder's nest is now empty. The fledglings remain close by, as does their mother. They're not yet old enough to fend for themselves. They still beg for food from mum. Nearby, a juvenile cuckoo has long left its foster nest. One pair of hapless weavers was cheated into raising it as their own. But now it must fend for itself. Despite the passing of the rains, the weavers are still breeding. True to form, the master builder now has a new nest. a new female, and new chicks, which are as hungry as their half-siblings. But the breeding season is drawing to a close, and he's starting to lose the bright yellow plumage that separates the weaver men from the boys. His mating colors will return next spring as he attempts to start family life once more. With the mist and running water now gone, the seasonal feast of lush vegetation will soon diminish. The last of the figs and flowers help build up fat reserves ready for lean times ahead. The enormous trunk of this African baobab tree stores enough water for it to survive until the rains return next year. As the grasses start to dry up, the dromedary camels begin to move on with their human herders. Their bellies are full, their humps are firm, each holding up to 80 pounds of fat. This vital energy reserve helps to sustain them through the long, dry winter that lies ahead here. For now, the monsoon is over. This herd will return to the desert beyond the mountains. Next year, the rains will come again, transforming the Dhofar mountains of Arabia once more. Arabia, a land where reptiles rule. 300 million years of evolution have created the ultimate desert survivors. They're masters of saving energy, but can strike in an instant. They can make a small meal last a long time. Each creature has a way to cope with extremes. They change their behavior as the sun changes position in the sky. Here, the heat of the desert is no match for life in cold blood. It sometimes feels like mammals rule the world. There are well over 5,000 species, colonizing every corner of the globe. But in Arabia, it's a different story. At first light, a nocturnal spiny mouse is having one last forage before returning to his den. But it lives in a land where reptiles rule. A perfectly honed predator, the Clifford's diadem snake, chooses early morning to hunt. The 2-meter diadem has large eyes and chemical detection to track the mouse down even in the dim morning light. A tight squeeze is all it takes. Each time the mouse exhales, the embrace tightens. The victim suffocates. The bones of the diadem's skull are loosely attached with rubbery ligaments, so they can expand and move independently to walk the prey through the jaws. Reptiles are ectotherms and save energy by not heating their bodies internally, like a mammal does. It's one of the secrets of their enduring success. Snakes can survive on just 50% of their body weight in food each year. The mouse meal could keep the diadem going for months. In a land where resources are scarce, cold-blooded creatures have the upper hand. Little wonder they thrive in the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula. The peninsula covers 3.1 million square kilometers. Its interior is mostly desert, bordered by mountains on the east and west, and surrounded by warm tropical seas. Among the mountain ranges, valleys offer cooler conditions where vegetation can grow. The habitats are diverse, but reptiles have evolved to exploit them all. It's 6 a.m. in the hot, dry Arabian interior. The temperature is already 26 degrees Celsius. It looks barren and is almost devoid of water. But the harsh terrain is teeming with life. One 172 species of reptile live in Arabia. More than half are found here and nowhere else in the world. One of the biggest families, with 17 species, is the agamids. Like all reptiles, they start their day basking in the sun to warm up. Reptiles are like living solar panels, absorbing the sun's heat and using it as an energy source to power their bodies. Being ectotherms, or cold-blooded, doesn't mean reptiles are cold. It means they cannot regulate their temperature internally. Instead, they warm and cool their bodies using the environment around them. The toad-headed agama is specialized in making his living on the rolling sand dunes of the desert. Every morning he basks in the sun. It's vital if he wants enough energy to hunt. But there's no cover on the dunes. He's exposed. And even his perfect camouflage can't protect him from eyes in the skies. The eagle has impeccable vision. It's capable of spotting a desert hare from 3 kilometers away. Luckily, the agama has a disappearing act. Fast vibrations, the so-called shimmy burial, throws up enough grains of sand to cover his body. For the little lizard, it's dangerous to be out in the open. But the biggest of the agamids seems a lot less concerned as he begins his day. At 70 centimeters long, the dhub is the armored tank of the agamid world. He spent the night in a den underground and now joins the sunbathers. His body is armored with tightly packed scales made of keratin, like fingernails. Some are even further reinforced by bony structures called osteoderms. Reptiles were the first animals to develop scaly skin. This breakthrough gave them an evolutionary edge. It made them waterproof, meaning they could be the first large creatures to live on land. Keeping water out is as important as keeping water in. Even Arabia's sun doesn't dry them out. The dhub has a variety of scale shapes and sizes, including spiny bands on its tail that provide even more protection, something it might need. This is a monitor lizard, close cousin of the infamous Komodo dragon, and the undisputed king of the sand dunes. At up to 1.3 meters long, it's the largest and most aggressive lizard in Arabia. But during early mornings, while the sun's still weak, all reptiles are taking things slow. Reptiles have colonized all the habitats of Arabia, even the sea itself. But as the sun rises over the waves, things seem to have gone awry for a pair of marine inhabitants. 2 Gulf sea snakes are stuck in the rock pools. These are among the most venomous animals on Earth, with the power to kill creatures many times their own size. But now they're in trouble. At high tide, they were hunting close to the coast, but the water levels receded. Now they're trapped, stranded in rock pools until the next high tide. Sea snakes originally evolved on land, but 6 million years of evolution have adapted them to a life beneath the waves. Like all reptiles, they must breathe air, but can hold their breath for several hours, thanks to massively elongated lungs that stretch almost the entire length of their bodies. Their flattened bodies turn their tails into paddles to help them swim. Most snakes have broad scales on their bellies for grip. Sea snakes sacrifice these for streamlining and are covered in smaller fish-like scales. They're the reptilian equivalent of whales and dolphins. Terrestrial animals so well adapted to the seas that they can no longer function on land. Without the ability to move quickly across the sand or strike at passing prey, they could starve or find themselves at the mercy of opportunistic predators. They have no choice but to wait for the tide to turn and hope the water gets to them before the gulls do. By 9 a.m., it's over 37 degrees. At this temperature, reptiles are in their prime. The monitor is now turbocharged by the sun. As his body temperature increases, so does the efficiency of his senses. As well as excellent hearing and eyesight, his long forked tongue flicks out to collect minute scent particles in the air. Each prong of the fork works independently. It can tell which side the strongest scent is coming from, giving it directional smell. He's on the trail of the dhub. But the dhub sees it coming. He's nicknamed the spiny-tailed lizard for a reason. He can inflate his body to wedge himself into the hole, with his tail sideways to lock him in. A spiny barricade that's too much for most predators to bother with. But the monitor has picked up a different scent. This is a rare find in the desert, an unguarded quail nest. But just when he's ready for breakfast, something else catches his eye. There's only one thing that threatens a monitor lizard, and that's another one. But the second lizard is smaller. It flattens itself against the dune, hoping to go unnoticed. Monitor lizards are all about personal space and won't hesitate to fight over resources. The eggs can wait. The threat's too much for the smaller one. honor defended, the bigger lizard can go back to breakfast. Many of Arabia's reptiles are territorial. Some literally turn blue at the sight of an intruder. There are no prizes for guessing how the blue-headed agama got its name. The males position themselves on prominent lookouts where they can watch over their territories. They're looking for females. When they spot one, they turn on the charm by doing push-ups until they're blue in the face. The color tones down at other times, but when they breed, they crank it up. Each male tries to intimidate its rivals by looking the fittest and most colorful. Changing skin color is a trick that some agamids share with a peculiar cousin found in the dense vegetation of the southern coast. There are about 200 species of chameleons spread throughout the tropics. But the Arabian chameleon is an endemic found here and nowhere else. One thing all chameleons have in common is their famous ability to change color. As this Arabian chameleon stalks through the branches, pigmented layers of skin, rich in expandable color cells, move over one another to change the way they reflect light, effectively enabling him to change his color. His varied wardrobe can be used for many purposes. To stand out and communicate with other chameleons, to blend in and go unseen by his insect prey, or to lighten or darken his color to reflect or absorb the sun to help with temperature control. His feet are unlike any other reptiles. He has the typical 5 toes, but they're fused into 2 bunches, making them look a bit like mittens. They're perfect for maintaining a grip on the branches. His arboreal life is further stabilized with a long prehensile tail. A lot of the comical chameleon's character comes from its extraordinary eyes. The tiny pinpricks between its eyelids can be rotated independently, enabling it to scan through 360 degrees. Its brain can interpret the information from each. It's like watching 2 different movies at the same time. Back out on the sand dunes, the mercury is climbing. The toad-headed agama lifts himself standing on tiptoes. This allows cooling air to circulate around his body and minimizes contact with the hot sand. The dhub spent the cooler hours of the morning using his chisel-shaped teeth to clip tough desert vegetation. But time's running out for his veggie brunch. By late morning, the air temperature can soar to a scalding 49 degrees. But the baked sand is hotter, nearly 64 degrees to the touch. Too hot for reptiles. This heat compromises their endurance. Even the desert-dwelling dhub retreats to the shade of his burrow for an afternoon siesta. Underground, the humidity can stay as high as 80%, making it a comfortable retreat, even on the hottest of days. Several dhubs share the system of tunnels, which can be over 10 meters long. They also tolerate squatters like beetles, geckos, and even birds. Because sand burrows often collapse, they dig on the gravel plains that run under the sand for stronger structural support. The colony of lizards will use the same burrow for many years. This lush green seems a world away from the sandy desert, a rare oasis created by a natural spring and rain. Here, vegetation shades animals from the burning sun. Trees provide shelter, but also cover for some deadly hunters. Orb weaver spiders get their name from the circular or spiral shape of their webs. Every morning they build their webs, but they're for one-time use only. The spider will eat the threads at the end of the day, then start again tomorrow. It's a 1 meter long, strong, almost invisible trap. The sticky threads will snare any insects that pass too close. To stop the prey from struggling and damaging the web or the spider, it's injected with paralyzing venom and wrapped in a package of silk. The venom contains enzymes that also slowly break down the fly's body tissue. Eventually, the contents will be a nutritious soup that the spider can drink. Despite its 10-centimeter leg span, the hunter can become the hunted. The quirky chameleon is a surprisingly skillful hunter. As it stalks, it rocks gently, mimicking branches blowing in the breeze, making itself invisible to its prey. When it spots a potential meal, its wandering eyes both focus forwards for precise depth perception. Once in strike range, it can deploy its weapon. The tongue is twice as long as its body and tipped with a ball of muscle that can turn itself into a big suction cup. When unleashed, it accelerates as fast as a car doing 0 to 100 in 1/100th of a second. Unlike the reptiles in the desert, the Arabian chameleon can stay active throughout the day. The vegetation here acts as a moisture trap between the mountains and the sea, creating a microclimate that stays at a fairly constant 32 degrees year-round. On the other side of the mountains, it's dry and very hot. Mid-afternoon can peak at over 50 degrees. Animals must retreat, leaving the desert seemingly empty. The boulders provide some shady cover for a varied community of different geckos. There are 28 species in Arabia, making them the most numerous reptile family. Most geckos have tiny hair-like structures on their toes that act like Velcro, helping them climb steep surfaces. The sticky pads are especially pronounced in the fan-footed gecko. Like most geckos, it's a creature of the night with large, sensitive eyes. Because they're so sensitive to light, their pupils must contract a few hundredths of their original size during the day to avoid damage from sunlight. But not semaphore geckos. They're day active and don't need to see in the dark. Their pupils are large and round by day. They're called semaphore geckos because, unlike other species that communicate with sound, they communicate by waving their tails like flags. This species, the Carter's semaphore gecko, goes a step further. The male has an enlarged tail to send clearer signals. The bigger and spinier it is, the more attractive he is to females. With his impressive package, this fella's managed to attract a mate. She's had a growth spurt and has just finished shedding her skin. Rigid scales can't expand, so as a reptile grows, it must shed its skin and grow a new one, with a little room to spare. For any small animals that risk daylight activity, there's the threat of aerial attack. When a flock of ravens turns up, it's time to retreat. The day is almost over on the coast. After 12 hours, the tide eventually returns, releasing the sea snakes from their rock pool prisons. They can finally return to the sea. They immediately begin to hunt, exploring the corals and looking for a suitable target. Like its cousins on land, the sea snake has a forked tongue, but only needs to extend the tips to taste traces of prey in the water. Its bold stripes announce its toxic venom to other marine predators, like hungry sharks, leaving it to hunt undisturbed. It moves with fluidity and grace, now that it's finally back where it belongs. As the day moves on, the temperature slowly drops. For many animals, this is the time to get more active. But not for all of them. Because fission's so important to the chameleons hunting, It's active by day and sleeps by night. So as the sun sinks, it makes its way deeper into the vegetation, looking for a safe spot to sleep, usually hidden under a leaf. The dense foliage will also help incubate it during the cooler night. Some chameleons are known cannibals, which is probably why smaller individuals sleep in different parts of the vegetation than the adults, as they try to stay off the big guy's menu. Once the sun sets, the temperature on the sandy desert drops quickly. By 6 p.m., it's a slightly more comfortable 37 degrees. The dhub has had an evening snack of desert plants while it was cooler. But now he heads inside. Evening is when one of the desert's most notorious killers stirs. A horned viper, armed with potent venom, is ready to hunt. It seeks out a good hideaway, where it can lie in wait to ambush passing prey. A hooded malpolon is also preparing to hunt. Before it begins its night of prowling, it performs a peculiar ritual, a trait shared with very few other species. Known as self-rubbing, it spreads a fatty secretion from its nasal glands along its body. The purpose of this lipid-rich liquid is to seal in moisture so that it's not lost to the warm air. It's a more active predator than the viper and seeks out its victims rather than lying in wait. Rodents have spent the day in their underground burrows to stay cool. But now it's their time to forage for seeds, grasses, or even insects. The malpolon is quick to spot a potential meal. Even well-armed predators can be cautious. They need to pick their victims carefully. From ground level, this gerbil looks pretty big. Like all rodents, it has self-sharpening, chisel-shaped teeth and sharp claws. The snake is only likely to strike if the rodent turns to run, giving the snake a clear shot at its unprotected back. But the gerbil wisely turns to face its attacker. It chooses fight over flight. The snake decides not to risk injury, going in search of easier prey. The mammal wins this one. But thanks to the reptile's cold-blooded efficiency, the malpolon can afford to miss a meal. Creatures tucked up safely in their burrows don't escape the dangers of the night. The Arabian sand boa is like a reptilian mole, perfectly shaped for a life of hunting beneath the sand. Its smooth scales lie flat, and its wedge-shaped head allows it to plow through the dunes. It will lie buried, with only its eyes at the surface, to watch for passing prey, like insects and small lizards. The Persian wonder gecko is an endemic species in Arabia. Like most other geckos, it's nocturnal. With its huge eyes, it can hunt insects by moonlight. Most geckos don't have eyelids and must lick their eyes to keep them clean and free of sand. Most have broad toes for gripping surfaces that they climb. But this desert specialist has replaced the pads with comb-like scales to help it move in the sand. The Persian wonder gecko has only been known to science for 20 years. Little is known about its biology. But we do know that this little lizard is regionally endangered. Habitat loss means it is facing extinction in the wild. The temperature reaches its coolest point in the early hours of the morning, where just the faintest moonlight creates an eerie glow. Both air and surface temperatures have stabilized at a comfortable 25 degrees. Perfect for a sand gecko to hunt. He's on the prowl for insects. The gecko uses its huge eyes, pupils fully dilated, to trap any moonlight. He's not the only hunter on the prowl. The horned viper is also looking for a meal. He hunts by touch. He lacks external ears and can't hear, but the inner ear can detect even the faintest vibrations of prey moving nearby. It knows something is there, but it can't seem to pinpoint it. The gecko has the advantage. It can open its pupils to more than 300 times their smaller size to capture even the weakest light. With its perfect night vision, the gecko can stay one step ahead. The secret lives of reptiles often play out under the cover of darkness. In the early hours of the morning, Arabia's biggest reptile is on a mission. A loggerhead turtle, the largest of 4 endangered species of sea turtles that breed on Arabia's coast. Like all reptiles, sea turtles evolved on land. It was during the reign of the dinosaurs that they expanded their range, conquering the sea itself. Now, sea turtles are totally designed for life underwater. But like all reptiles, their eggs must be laid on land. Females travel vast distances to their breeding beaches, to the exact same spots where they themselves hatched, to dig a hole and deposit their eggs. This female's running late. Turtles usually lay during the cooler night and try to be back in the water before sunrise. But she can't go until she completes her task. She's very precise in the construction of her nest. The depth will determine the temperature of the eggs. She's aiming for 28 to 32 degrees. If she gets it right, the warmer top half of the nest will produce female hatchlings, and the cooler lower half will produce males. If she gets it wrong, the whole clutch will be one sex. With the nest complete, she deposits around 120 eggs. A rubbery tube, called an ovipositor, extends from her tail to ensure she puts all her eggs in one basket. The shells are rubbery to cushion their fall. Like most reptiles, she won't play any role in caring for her young. Her final task in motherhood is to delicately bury the clutch. The eggs will hatch in 40 days or so, but her job is done. Now she can return to the sea. She won't set foot on land for 3 or 4 years, when she returns to lay again. As the sun rises, the next shift from the reptile kingdom emerges. Ready to exploit Arabia's gift, the sun and its life-giving energy. As their ancestors have for millennia, they recharge their batteries, ready to face the challenges of a new day. Here, cold-blooded creatures have the upper hand. A land where reptiles rule.